I feel like the 2021 NBA draft has just been very polarizing since these prospects entered the NBA. I also feel like every month there's a new player that would go #1 in a redraft. We've gone through phases where Jalen Green would go #1, Mobley, Cade obviously, Alperen, Sengun, Giddey, and Franz Wagner. Each of these 2021 draft picks have had their moments in the NBA so far. And in today's video, we are going to react to my 2021 draft grades the night that these players were selected. So you guys really enjoyed me reacting to my 2022 draft grades. So yeah, today we're going to be reacting to the 2021 draft grades. If you guys do enjoy these, I would appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. I do have these for 2020 as well, so if you want to see that, yeah, just leave a like on this video, and I think I'm going to also react to my final 2023 mock as well. And we'll react to my 2023 draft grades when the season is over, because we still got half a year left of those rookies. All right, let's get into this.
Without further ado, let's get into this. And with the first overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the Detroit Pistons selected Cade Cunningham. I'm going to give this an A. The reason I'm not giving it an A+ is because we all knew this was going to happen, so it's not like, all right, you deserve a higher grade, because we knew this pick back from when the lottery happened. So the Pistons took the guy they were supposed to take, their franchise guy for the next 5, 8, 10, 20 years, Cade Cunningham, #1. It's just an easy selection to give an A to. Rockets.
All right, I also weirdly sound like congested in this, but yeah, I gave it an A. I would still probably take Cade #1 in a redraft. I know that may be controversial with the years that guys like Scottie Barnes, who I should have mentioned before in the beginning of the video, when guys that have gone #1 in a redraft in people's eyes, like Alperen, Sengun, Franz Wagner, like I think I would still go Cade #1. He wasn't dealt the greatest situation in Detroit, and when you watch him play, he clearly looks like he's a superstar talent. He's just had terrible teams around him.
At 2, I'm going to give this an A as well. They get arguably the best scoring player in this draft, a 3-level scorer with crazy athleticism. He could jump out the gym. And I'm just so excited to see that future backcourt of Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green. Maybe they'll be able to move John Wall this offseason, if not next offseason, if not the next. We'll see that backcourt play more minutes this year. I love it. It's an A. Like the Pistons pick. Don't think too hard about it. They picked who we all expected to, so I give it an A. Next up,
what a different time this was, right? Talking about a Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green future backcourt, and that got me excited to watch the Houston Rockets. I think in A, like looking back on it, he was not the consensus #2 pick. It was between him and Evan Mobley. Like Cade was the consensus #1 pick pretty much all college season, all time leading up to the draft as well. But there was kind of some debate, should the Rockets go Mobley at 2 or Jalen Green? And Green has been inconsistent. He's shown so many flashes, has had his inconsistencies this year as well. Got off to an abysmal start, or just maybe not a start you would want in year #3. But he's had a nice stretch leading up to the All-Star break where it's like, all right, he still looks like he can be a good, efficient scorer in the league, and I'll buy in on the defensive side of the floor. But I just still think Evan Mobley would have been that pick in a redraft if it was between those two, or obviously looking back, you may take Barnes or Sengun or one of those guys. But it looks like they may have made the wrong decision going with Mobley, but obviously they made a fantastic pick getting Sengun later in this draft, so that could justify them going Green over Mobley at #2.
At 3, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers taking Evan Mobley. I'm going to give this a B+, just because the fit is a little bit weird with Jarrett Allen at the moment, and I know when you're picking that high at 3 in the NBA, you just take best player available. You don't take player based on fit, but they did move Colin Sexton. What's going on with him? Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley, is it going to coexist? I'm not really sure. I still love the pick. Evan Mobley's a great player, and if he gets that full-time 5 minutes, I'm a big fan. B+, still a great grade. Scottie Barnes.
All right, so we'll get into the Barnes pick in a second, but for Evan Mobley, I guess I wasn't wrong. Like, the fit has definitely been weird between him and Jarrett Allen. We saw it last year in round 1 against the New York Knicks, so I think that's still justified, and we're going to see how they perform this year. They're probably going to play in some meaningful playoff games this year as well, because the Cavs have been really good. And if they have another down year with those two in the front court, just based off like how great of a year Jarrett Allen is having, they may need to have a tough decision to make in the offseason, because Evan Mobley's probably going to get and deserving the rookie max extension. It was funny talking about Colin Sexton. He ended up being in a Donovan Mitchell trade a year later, because I thought him next to Garland was a super weird fit. But yeah, I thought, like, I really like Jalen Suggs to go here. Let's hear what I have to say.
Barnes here at 4 to the Toronto Raptors was the first big shocker of the night. If you watched my reaction, I was just like, what the hell just happened? I really thought it was going to be Jalen Suggs. I'm giving this pick a B at the moment. B is still a really good grade. I love Scottie Barnes. I just think I would have went Jalen Suggs here if I were the Toronto Raptors, and I'm also a fan of Jonathan Kuminga over Scottie Barnes as well. Scottie Barnes can pass, he can defend, he can run in transition, he can switch. He's just a really nice playmaking power forward. We'll see what he can do in the NBA with his shooting, because if he can develop a shot, he's going to be a top 3 player from this class. Next up,
Alright, so that also wasn't wrong either, because a negative or a weakness of Barnes coming out of Florida State was his jumper. Was it going to be translatable into the NBA? And he's definitely worked on it. He's been a plus 3-point shooter here in year 3. And like I said, if he develops that shot, he can be a top 3 player from the class. Looking back though in hindsight, or just kind of, looking at this here, I was wrong. Like, they made the 100% right pick taking Barnes over Jalen Suggs, and that's why Masai Ujiri knows more than me. So it's funny to look back on, but at least I saw the potential in Barnes if he developed that jumper. And he was one of those late draft risers as well. Nobody considered him as a top 5 pick, basically up until like May and June of the 2021 draft.
We have Jalen Suggs going to the Orlando Magic. I'm giving this an A-. Now, not the biggest need fit because they have Cole Anthony, they have Markelle Fultz, they have RJ Hampton, so they have a ton of young back.
RJ Hampton, what a name. Loved him so much out of high school. We played in the NBL when LaMelo was there as well. Just,
Court guards, but I think you're just getting a top 4 guy at 5. That's great value. So I'm giving this an A-. I love this pick for Orlando. He will probably be, I think, the best player out of those 3 or those 4 I mentioned in the long term for the Magic. Like this. This is someone that can actually turn their rebuild, turn their franchise around. Next up.
All right, it's funny because that was probably not the Suggs pick. That was the Franz Wagner pick I should have said that about, because he definitely helped turn that franchise around a little bit. And yeah, looking back on that, like, Suggs has definitely turned into probably the best player out of Fultz and Cole Anthony, but I don't think that's really too shocking. But it's not like he ended up being somebody that's going to be a top 3 scoring option on a championship team or somebody that was going to be a star point guard in this league. He's just been a basically 3D glue guy. The dude is an incredible defender, incredible hustle guy, and he's knocking down his shots this year, and he's been a phenomenal complementary piece to Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. So Suggs was drafted to probably be that point guard of the future. He struggled a lot in that role throughout his first 2 years in the league, but he's having an incredible year 3. Let's hear what I got to say about Josh Giddey.
So we have the OKC Thunder taking the biggest shocker in this draft, in my opinion, selecting Josh Giddey out of Australia with the 6th overall pick. I'm going to be giving this a B-. Now, I love Josh Giddey as a player. I just think OKC could do what they love by trading down, acquiring other picks, maybe a couple spots, and still getting Giddey there. I do think it was a reach there at 6. I love Giddey, though. I think he's going to be a great playmaking guard to put next to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I want to help Shai's development as well. B- honestly was just because it was a slight reach in my opinion, but I still think that Giddey's a really good player, and OKC didn't really do a bad job by selecting him at 6.
All right, so I guess basically just looking at that, Giddey's, evaluation and what we all think about him, his public perception has changed so much since this draft, because I think a lot of people thought it was a reach, and then people fell in love with him his rookie and sophomore year, and what he did last year at the end of the year, especially in the playing tournament, was incredible. People were talking about all last offseason, wasn't that long ago, that Giddey would be 1 or 2 in a 2021 redraft, and now it's just completely done a 180. Obviously, there was the off-the-court stuff that definitely did not help his PR at all, and he's definitely taken a step back in year 3. He struggled to really look like an impactful offensive player, at least in the scoring aspect of the game, and his defense has not improved at all either, and I guess looking at this, I'm kind of in the right now, but if I made this video a year ago, I would have looked like an idiot because he would have been like a top 3 player from this class in people's eyes. So a lot can change in a year. Like right now, it's helping my, pre-draft grade or my post-draft grade on Giddey. But yeah, like I said, if I made this a year ago, I would not be looking as good. So that's kind of
next up at 7.
Like it's funny to look at now.
We have the Golden State Warriors selecting Jonathan Kuminga out of the G League Unite. Yeah, this is an A for me. Just getting Kuminga at 7. Oh my god, I can't believe he fell to them. The Warriors had one of the best drafts here in the NBA, and just getting Kuminga, oh my god, coming off the bench, that potential front court of the future with Kuminga at the 4 and Wiseman at
I know, I was going to say James Wiseman.
5 will just be a sight to see. And yeah, they're getting an A from me. They get a top 5 player, in my opinion, in this class at 7. For a team that's trying to compete for a championship next year. At 8, we have...
Thank God, man. Thank God Kuminga has kind of broken out here in year number 3, and we're seeing the stretches from him. And it was going to take a little bit of time for him coming out of the G League Ignite. That was the pick from the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Wiggins-D'Angelo Russell trade. And like going back to what I said about Giddey, if I made this video a year ago, I would have looked like a complete fool because Kuminga didn't even look like a top 7 or 8 guy from this class. But now you can maybe talk about putting him into the top 5, the top 6 of a redraft. Like, would he go number 5 5 to Orlando instead of Jalen Suggs in a redraft? Possibly. Like, there's a potential for that to happen. But obviously, Franz Wagner here was a phenomenal pick from the Magic. But yeah, Kuminga's kind of public perception has changed so much since he got drafted 7th overall in 2020.
The Orlando Magic, they took Franz Wagner. I'm giving this a B+. I'm glad they didn't go the guard route here because they just had a lot of them. So they get a playmaking wing that can really distribute the ball and can make his teammates better with really not needing the ball in his hand. So I like that pick for Orlando. I think that was a very smart pick. At 9.
All right, yeah, like he was a great pick by them. And I think I even undersold it of how great of a pick it really was.
The Sacramento Kings taking Davion Mitchell. Now, I love Davion Mitchell as a player. He was a top 10 player in this class, in my opinion, but I'm giving the Kings a B- for this grade because we know how desperate they are making the playoffs next year. So I was just kind of confused when they took another guard. They have Tyrese Halliburton. They have Hield at the moment. De'Aaron Fox, obviously. DeLon Wright, who obviously shouldn't make you not take Davion Mitchell. I just thought they would go for a wing or trade down or Alperen Sengun because they are going to lose most likely Rashawn Holmes at free agency. What's going on with Marvin Bagley? I love Davion Mitchell. Just to the Kings seemed like a weird fit. Next
up, I mentioned Alperen Sengun for them. Well, that would have been something. Yeah, I like Davion Mitchell. Obviously, as a defender, I thought he was one of the best defensive players in this class and definitely up there as one of the best defensive guards in this class. I just didn't like the fit in Sacramento, and obviously his efficiency wasn't great regardless, so he probably never would have been a great prospect. Maybe if that shot was never going to fall, but he has shown defensive flashes, and he was never really going to be a starter in this league because he was going to be playing behind De'Aaron Fox most of his rookie contract, which he still is.
So we have Ziaire Williams to the Grizzlies at 10, and I'm giving this my first C grade. It's going to be a C+. I don't mind Ziaire Williams as a player, but for the Grizzlies, they're a team that's trying to make the playoffs next year. Now, you can look at this and be like, all right, Matt, like they are so deep as it is with Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Brandon Clark, Adams, Bledsoe, Allen, Anderson, Bane, Melton, Brooks, etc., that they can afford to take a guy to help develop off the end of their bench. I agree, but I think at some point you're going to need to take someone that can help you win now, like a Chris Duarte, like a James Bouknight, like a Corey Kispert. I would have liked a little bit more for them.
All right, so Bouknight, probably smart they didn't take him. But yeah, Kispert or even like Chris Duarte had a good rookie year for the Pacers. Obviously, he was a lot older than most of these prospects, and then he kind of fizzled out a little bit. But I didn't really like the Ziaire Williams pick. They went from 17 to 10, and the Pelicans got a much better player at 17. So this wasn't a great pick for a team that had a good drafting track record. Obviously, taking Jaren Jackson Jr. in 2018, John Moran in 2019, and Desmond Bane in 2020.
The Hornets took James Bouknight at 11, and I was a fan of this.
Yep, did not work out at all.
I like the fit next to LaMelo Ball next year with potentially losing Devontae Graham or Malik Monk, and Rozier might not be that long-term too next to LaMelo. I'm a fan of James Bouknight of Charlotte. At 12,
yeah, didn't really work out. I mean, they've been a good drafting team, like solid, like PJ Washington in 2019, Bridges in 2018, LaMelo in 2020. They had a solid 2022 draft as well, landing Mark Williams. They got Brandon Miller last year. This was just the one pick they whiffed on. And yeah, let's go. Gave Joshua Primo a C-. Should have gave it an F.
San Antonio Spurs are getting my lowest grade so far. They are going to get a C- for drafting Joshua Primo. Not because I think Joshua Primo is a bad player. I thought he should have 100% been a first-round pick. He was the top 30 player in this draft, in my opinion. I just thought it was a reach. It was a heavy reach. Think he could have been there at pick 20 and they could have traded down. Maybe the Knicks would have done 19 and 21 and you get another first-round pick. You could have took him at 19. I just think it was a reach for the San Antonio Spurs.
In hindsight, that's what the Spurs should have done.
At 10, the Indiana Pacers took Chris Duarte. It's a B for me. Not a flashy pick. Nothing super exciting. It's really what the Pacers do. Somebody that will help them win next year. He's a great shooter, and it's looking like they maybe won't be moving Malcolm Brogdon or Warren or Sabonis. Maybe they'll move Turner, but it's really the Pacers are trying to make the playoffs again next year.
Malcolm Brogdon, Warren, and Sabonis all ended up getting moved from the Pacers. Duarte, yeah, he was somebody that was like they should have sold high on, I guess, in year one, which maybe they kind of eventually thought they were going to do. And yeah, I think a B is fine.
Year. Or not again, you know what I mean, be in the play-in tournament. With the last pick in the lottery, the Warriors took Moses Moody. Yeah, this is an A- for me. I thought this was a top 10 player in this class, and you got him at 14. The Warriors had arguably the best draft last night, just getting Kuminga at 7 and Moody at 14. I was just such a huge fan, and I still am, of those two picks.
Yeah, I really love the Warriors lottery right there.
At 15, the Washington Wizards took Corey Kispert. I'm giving it a B-/C+. I love Corey Kispert as a player, but how I mentioned before, like, Kispert was one of those guys, he falls into that basket of, I would love to see him go to a contender, somebody that's going to win now next season, and we could see him be like a Desmond Bane was for the Grizzlies this year, or Cameron Johnson, just one of those young guys that go in the lottery, that's a great shooter, even though Bane didn't go in the lottery, and really contend next year. But with trading Russell Westbrook, the Wizards are most likely not going to make the playoffs next year, so I really didn't get the Corey Kispert pick at all because you want to take somebody that could be a franchise guy for you down the line. Kispert's not going to be that guy. He's a situational player. Now, you might be just adding him there to be a nice piece around Bradley Beal and you go after somebody in 2022. But I just thought there were so many other higher upside picks you should have taken at 15.
Not going to lie, was kind of speaking facts right there.
At 16, the Thunder traded this pick with the Rockets, and they took Alperen Sengun. I'm giving it a B+. I love Sengun. He's my really
Sengun, not Schengen, Matt. What are you doing?
second big in this class behind Evan Mobley. Really love the Rockets trading up and getting him there at 16.
All right, that was pretty good. I'm glad I liked the pick.
17, the Pelicans with that traded pick from the Grizzlies got Trey Murphy. Love that. That is actually being A- grade from me. One of the best shooters and scorers in this class. Is going to be surrounding Zion next year. I love it. Trey, man.
Not gonna lie, was I kind of cooking in this video? I feel like I've done very well in hindsight so far.
At 18 to the OKC Thunder, I'm giving it a B. I thought they would go maybe a wing here, but just because they got Taylor Maladon, they had Josh Giddey, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Kemba Walker at the moment. They really didn't need another one, but if they move Kemba, it'll make a little bit more sense. 19. I can't believe my Knicks traded out of this pick. But yeah, the Hornets traded up and they took Kai Jones.
Why did I like the Hornets draft? Why?
This is getting a B+ for me. I love it. They got Mason Plumlee earlier in the night.
I was just saying I was cooking, damn it.
They had Kai Jones, who I think was the consensus third best big man in this class. Huge fan of that for Charlotte, a position of need, and they really did give up a lot to get him. With the Atlanta Hawks at pick 20, they took Jalen Johnson. It's an A-, just an absolute steal. A top 15 player in the class for me, and you're getting him at 20 is great value. They're most likely going to be trading Cam Reddish at some point, and he's a hell of a replacement.
20. All right, they did trade Cam Reddish to the Knicks the following season, and Jalen Johnson, if I made this video a year ago, I would have been like, he hasn't really done much so far. Boom. Perfect time to make this video because he's done a lot so far.
When the New York Knicks traded this pick again with the LA Clippers and they took Keon Johnson, it's a B+ for me. I think Keon Johnson was a top 10 player in this class, and you got him at 21. An incredible defender, and if you could develop...
All right, I was not cooking.
Help him a shot. Yeah, this is going to be the steal of the draft. Great job, Clippers. The Lakers took Isaiah Jackson at 22, but was traded to Washington, later then traded to Indiana. This is going to be a B for me. I like Isaiah Jackson. You gave up 31 and Aaron Holiday to get him. You better hope he's good. 23.
He's been fine.
The Houston Rockets took Usman Garuba. Like this pick a lot. I'm giving it a B. He'll be a developmental guy. They'll have Sengun. They got Garuba. They got those 4 big men they're going to have to develop. But I like what's going on in Houston. Speaking of Houston, they had back-to-back picks. They took Josh Christopher at 24. I'm giving it a B as well. I thought Christopher was going to go in the second round. He's a wing with boomer bust potential. Pretty much what you would expect to see in Houston next year and going forward. And then here we are with the New York Knicks at 25. I'm giving this Quentin Grimes pick a B-. I actually like Quentin Grimes a lot as a player, and I think the Knicks need to go out and get a wing. I just really didn't see this whole trading down thing. I thought maybe they could have got him at 32 as well. I like Quentin Grimes. The Knicks did well in this 25 overall pick spot last year with Emmanuel Quickley, so they're probably going to prove me wrong.
All right, well, that was true. They definitely proved me wrong. Grimes was a solid 3-and-D guy for the Knicks, helped them beat the Cavs last year in the playoffs, and he was a main trade piece in getting back Bojan Bogdanovic at this year's deadline.
At 26, the Denver Nuggets took Bones the Sean Hyland. It's a B for me. He's going to be a crafty scorer off the bench for them. I like it. 27,
pretty fair.
The Brooklyn Nets selected Cameron Thomas. I love this pick. It's a B+ for me. One of the best shooters in this class. I think he'll be very good in the Nets development staff. And they just traded away Landry Shamet. I like Cameron Thomas even more than Shamet next year.
All right, kind of cooked there. Let's
Jaden Springer to the Sixers at 28.
Damn, I liked Springer and I like Keon Johnson out of Tennessee in this class.
Giving him a B, pretty average score here. B's pretty much been my average grade so far. Don't love it, don't hate it. Solid pick. The Nets took Day'Ron Sharpe there at 29. I like the idea of getting a center. Sharpe isn't all right of a pick. I would have liked that they maybe packaged their 2 first to go up and get Kai Jones, which definitely would have been doable. But either way, I'm a big Sharpe guy because I'm a UNC fan, and I don't hate
nice,
the pick.
Matt. Great way showing your bias.
At all, so I'm giving it a standard B. Hopefully this runs DeAndre Jordan out of Brooklyn. And then finally at 30, the Jazz traded this pick to the Grizzlies, and they took Santi Aldama out of Loyola. I'm giving this a B-. Thought it was a slight reach there. But Zach Kleiman seems to know what he's doing, obviously, so I'm sure he'll end up as a fine player, as they did well last year at 30 with Desmond Bane. So
yeah, I didn't really know much about Aldama coming out of Loyola, so I saw him a bunch in mocks in 45 to 60, so I thought it was a reach, but hey, he ended up being a great pick at 30 for them. That's really good value. So if you guys did enjoy me reacting to my 2021 draft grades, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. This is where you can roast me or make fun of me for any of my previous takes. And yeah, drop a like if you guys want to see me react to my final 2023 mock draft and my initial reaction reaction to the 2020 draft and the grades I handed out then. So make sure you take a look at my podcast. The link is in the description. The YouTube dedicated channel where you get the full video version. Spotify and Apple Podcast links in the description. It would mean a lot to me if you guys followed me over there. I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.